Um, you and others have told us that David Miscavige travels around the base. He's followed by his assistants who record his words, and these words are later transcribed. Can you describe how that works and how those transcriptions are used and what people think of them?
Sure. Beginning in the middle 90s, he used to have meetings with people and tell them what to do, and then they were supposed to do it. And then he found that it worked better if he had his conversation recorded. So wherever he went, his two assistants, one was his wife, Shelley. Her post, it's called in Scientology, was COB assistant. It's chairman of the board assistant. And so Shelley would have a tape recorder, and then Lou Stuckenbrock, who was COB secretary, would have another, and they'd put it down there wherever he went. If he moved, they would move the recorder so it got everything, every word. When he finished a meeting, the tapes would be rushed to a secretary in RTC who would transcribe it. And within maybe sometimes half an hour, maybe an hour at the most, you'd get transcripts would go out to all the pertinent people on the base that needed to see this and read it. And it would have a huge red stamp on it, it'd be COB traffic, not to leave the base. And, you know, there's just feet and feet and feet of this kinds of traffic up there because, you know, the guy talks all day long. Everything he says is recorded and transcribed. It just grows bigger and bigger. Well, everybody there has to read every word of it and make sure that they understand every single word that he said. And then you have to, respond based upon what he said. Now, usually the reason for one of these transcripts would be that you sent a proposal to him for whatever it is. Like I would send up a script for him to be approved. And if he didn't like it, he would come back down and have a meeting. And he might talk for an hour. Maybe he might talk for 5 minutes. You just never knew what it was going to be. But the thing would be transcribed, and then you get the transcript. You have to read the transcript. But in the process of, the meeting, he would also have all these accusations and criticisms, the most biting criticisms of you. And he would call people, he would say, the most foul obscenities. He would call you that right to your face, or sometimes talk as if you weren't in the room to other people. Did you hear what this blah, blah, blah said? I could tell you what he said, but you'd have to bleep it out. But just fill in the blank. You won't go wrong. He would say, this guy's out ethics. He's been doing so-and-so and so-and-so. And he would just make some guesses, or he's got some other fish to fry, or he's doing something. You should ask him about so-and-so. Well, that goes in the transcript too. Or all he's doing is stopping Scientology. That's what he intends to do, and it's intentional. He intends to do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that goes in the transcript. So then it comes out, everybody reads it, and now this is like the gospel. This guy intends to stop Scientology. So now you've got to confess to that when you resubmit your script or whatever it is. So what happens is, because you're responding to the rejection, which is the transcript, his people then intercept what he, his traffic, basically, the submission. They look against the transcript to see if you've adequately dealt with all the points that he laid out. Well, if they see something in there that says, well, you intended to stop Scientology, and you just want to stop, David Miscavige, or you want to stop COB, that's all you're trying to do. If that's what he said, well, if you haven't responded to that in your submission, he gets kicked right back to you. What about this? You didn't say anything about this. All right, you've got to put something like that in there. So you've got to say, dear sir, thank you for rubbing my nose into the fact that I was trying to stop Scientology and moreover, trying to pull you off wearing your hat and much more important duties to try to focus on my little world of script writing. And you're right. At first I thought, I was shocked when you said it, but then I realized it was all true. Thank you so much for, rubbing my nose into this. And now what I've done is I've knocked it off. I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm turning over a new leaf. And you won't hear that from me ever again. And I've fixed the submission, and my proposal follows, and then you lay out what you've done to fix the actual submission that he rejected. So what you've done is just made these pre-planned and scripted confessions that he can just pull out and then hand to the St. Pete Times if you ever speak out. Because you've got you've got a whole closet full of things that you had to say and write. Not only that, but he'll also have you sent to the ethics division as part of your whole handling, because you can't usually just do your submission and fix it and send it back. You've got to go down and apply some ethics, and meaning you've got to apply some conditions, or you've got to confess some crimes in writing. So you've also got to confess to whatever he basically said that you did with them. So what you get is all kinds of, quote, blackmail material that's all totally false.